Claire Davis adjusted the glasses on her nose and tried not to think about how she was lost in the middle of the cougar-shifters' land. Not lost in the sense she could stop at a gas station and ask for directions. Rather, she was lost in the middle of the damn Cascade Mountains with no cell service and no map. So much for technology making life easier. It always failed when Claire needed it the most. Pulling over to the side of the road, she put the car in park and laid her forehead on the steering wheel. If only she had thought of a backup plan. Reading the directions earlier had made everything seem so simple. What she hadn't accounted for was the low-level fog a few miles back. Think, Davis, think. She wasn't the head of the Shifter Equality Alliance by luck. Stubbornness was her middle name, and she wasn't about to give up, especially since her upcoming meeting was important. No, scratch that. The scheduled meeting with the cougar-shifters was goddamn historical. Kian Murray had invited her to DarkStalker's land through a human acquaintance they shared. Because it was illegal for her, or any human, to be on any shifter's land without the federal government's permission, she'd been given detailed directions to help hide her true destination. Once she reached the final location in the directions, a DarkStalker sentry, named Aidan Scott, would blindfold her and take her the rest of the way. She'd made it to step number 43 out of 45 before the fog had prevented her from finding her next landmark. So close, yet so far. The number of steps jogged her memory. Raising her head, she then switched on the interior car light and picked up her printed directions. Scanning the page, she reached the end.
Aha! I was right. I'm only a few miles from the final destination. Maybe if I honk my horn and sit here, the cougar-shifters will find me.
Since she was alone on a tiny mountain road, the noise wouldn't attract any humans. Only a fool would try driving these mountains in March, with snow still on the ground. Well, a fool or a woman on a mission. The Shifter Equality Alliance, or SEA, needed this meeting. Without the shifters' help, SEA's push to make shifter-human marriages legal was doomed, according to every set of data analyzed in the last few months. Clan DarkStalker was her best chance at making that happen. She needed to make the meeting at any cost. Taking a deep breath, she pressed the horn and held it for 15 seconds before releasing it. Claire scanned her surroundings, but 5 minutes later, she was still sitting in her car with no cougar in sight. If at first you don't succeed, try again. The saying might be childish, but it pretty much described how she'd run her life over the last 5 years. Placing her hand on the horn, she geared herself for the noise and pressed down. Rather than make it a straight noise, she beeped the horn to "Row, row, row your boat." Maybe the kids' song would signal she wasn't a threat. As she waited in silence again, she kept a lookout for any cougars. Eventually, they had to find her. Right? She refused to think about the alternative. Aidan Scott swished his tail as he paced back and forth in his cougar form, the snow crunching under his paws. The human was late. If it were up to him, he'd wait 5 more minutes and then return home. Humans were certainly not worth his paws freezing in the late-season snow. Just because his animal half could survive in the cold didn't mean he enjoyed it. However, his clan leader, Kian, had chosen him for this special assignment, and he would do anything for the alpha of the DarkStalker cougar-shifters. After all, Kian had been there when Aidan had needed him the most. Aidan wasn't about to repay the debt by abandoning his leader because of Aidan's own prejudice. If his leader said the meeting with the human female was important, he would treat it as such. He only hoped the human wouldn't betray them. From his experience, they tended to be good at doing exactly that.